Hi everyone. My name is Irma. I work with Theatre Forum, and we're really delighted to see you all here today for our Audience Insights Programme meeting. We're really happy that Heather Maitland, Katie Rains, and Ellie Oates are here with us today to help us to describe a little bit about the work that we're doing. And also, we're going to be joined by TicketSolve, and also Kalesh from Drogheda Arts Centre is going to tell us a little bit about her experience working with one of our systems as well. So for now, I'm just really happy to hand over to Heather.
Hello, hi. I'm going to share my screen, if that's okay with you. Can't have a thingy without a... There we go, fantastic, cool. Yes, audience insights. So we just wanted to really have a conversation with you about what we think we're trying to deliver for you, and to get your feedback on it all, and to sort of explain the processes that are happening at the moment. I'm going to start off by talking about the thing that I'm getting really excited about, which is a really good set of tools that are now available for us all to use for free. Hurrah! Unlike in the UK. Which will really help us with the bit of this chart that's often very difficult. And that's the profile bit. So that's the who are the people that you're serving or want to serve, and how representative are they? Katie's going to talk about the bit of the project that's going to deal with behaviour and with attitude. And I think out of all of those things, you'll be able to see the impact that you have on your organisation, on your communities that you serve. So I'm going to start with the profile bit, I hope. Oh yeah, look at that, isn't that gorgeous? And I think it's really important, because we all have questions. Where can I find a certain sort of person? What does my area need? So I'm having really interesting conversations at the moment with On Green and in Donegal, and with the Linen Hall in Mayo, about those very things, and looking in very different ways at it. So with the Linen Hall, we're doing this really exciting co-design process, where we're actually identifying communities that have never been in touch with the organisation before, but also the core audience and stakeholders, and together identifying the way forward over the next 5-year, 10-year plan for the organisation. So that's brilliant in On Green, and they've already done that work. Oh my goodness me. But we're all using data, regardless of how different those approaches are. We're all using that data to answer the questions: where can I find, and what does my area need, in order to find the strategies and tactics that are going to work. So this is it. Wow. I do wish we had this in the UK, but we don't. There's a link here, and Irma will be sharing this and recording it, so you can find this later. And I'm actually just going to, I hope, find... No, it's not going to let me. I'm going to have to come out of this, sorry. This worked earlier. Okay, I'm just going to go into the... what it is Zoom has taken over Chrome and has closed everything down. So that's really kind of it. Excuse me while I just... Here we go. And if I share again, we should be able to see this. Hurrah. Here we go. Right, I'm going to share again, I hope. I wish Zoom would actually make up its mind what it does. It keeps updating and then changing things that happen. Can you all see the census mapping screen? Yes,
Yeah.
you can. Cool, brilliant. This is amazing. So it can show you, it's got a lovely map down here. It can show you all sorts of useful areas. So it can show you really teeny tiny neighborhoods called small areas. It can show you county councils. You can focus in on towns, and that's the kind of town boundaries. It's got a list of several hundred towns that you can focus on. And it's got electoral divisions, which are quite good chunks. The bits I find most useful are the counties, the electoral divisions, and the local authorities. So, for example, we can click on local authorities. You can see all the local authorities. We can click on the one we're interested in. This is Donegal, and it'll show you the population profile. Great when you're looking at local authority funding. You know, you can really tick their box by showing that you understand what they're doing. If you click on that explore all themes, you've got loads of exciting things going on. So Irish language, household, socioeconomic group. This is the one we've been looking at most recently, which is about public transport. So you may be saying to yourself, do we need to tell people about public transport on the website and in any print that we do? Well, you do if you've got loads of people with no cars. So you can see here, we've got a lovely table that shows the number of households in 2022 who didn't have access to a car. And you can see there are nearly 7,000 of them. So how do we find them? They're not going to be, you know, scattered all over the county because it varies so much in its geography. So what you can do is if we close, if I move you out of the way, there we go, and we close the chart. Here we go, we can go back up. We can pick electoral divisions, which gives us nice bite-sized chunks. I'm just going to pick one in Donegal at random. So that's a fairly rural one. It's showing us the profile. And if we explore all themes, it takes us back to these charts. Now we're interested in motor car availability. So here's the chart again. Oh, there are not very many of them. There are only 4 households with no car in Graffy. But look here, we've got a link to a table. And I won't do that because it's a bit teeny bit slow for now. But what I can do is show you, if I move that out of the way. I'm just trying to no, I need to move this. Why is it that there we go. Here we go. So what it does, it takes us to the census tables. And this is the table for households with cars. And look, here are all the electoral divisions. And I've highlighted all of Donegal's electoral divisions. I've clicked on no motor car. I've clicked on search. And look, here's each electoral division with the number of people, households with no motor car. And you can scroll down and really easily see where you've got issues. What? Ballyshannon Urban, Buncrana Urban, Bundoran Urban. Well, it's the little towns. And interestingly, they're the places that have access, easy access to public transport. So I guess the answer to the question, if we're wondering, is, do we need to tell people about public transport? Yes, we do. So this is really, really useful stuff, I think. If you've got a question in mind that you want answering, otherwise it's a bit like disappearing down a rabbit hole of data. So you need a question that you want an answer for, and this is a really, really useful way of finding answers. And those questions are, where can I find a particular sort of person, and what does my area need? So let me go back into the PowerPoint. Here we go. I'm going to share again. Here we go. Cool. So that's the first bit that I wanted to talk about today. The next bit is actually what we're doing in terms of audience insight to kind of provide a framework for those questions that we're talking about. And that's the profile stuff. You know, what are people like? How do they behave? So my bit of the audience insights is the box office data bit. And there are 11 insights that we collect annually, and we've done it for 2019 and 2022 last year. So we have pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. And then this year, we'll collect the same things again, plus a couple of new ones, and compare them, see what the trends are. They're the things that you all said at one of the gatherings a couple of years ago that were useful to you. They were the key bits of information that you wanted to know about. And basically, you extract the data now, and the deadline is 25th of March, and we'll give you the results in May, leading up to and at the gathering in Sligo. And again, as usual, I will be the only person to see your data. No one else will see anything apart from the totals for all art centres, the totals for festivals, and the totals for large-scale venues. So what I think, we've got some really interesting issues happening at the moment, and I would really love to know what the answers are across the whole range of organisations working in Ireland. I think it's really important because it's about sustaining the recovery. So the first set of questions are, how are we doing? And we identified in 2022 that compared to pre-pandemic, the number of tickets sold was down by 28%, and gross ticket income was down by 19%. Now, I've just reanalyzed that because we didn't actually have that as a benchmark last time, but because it was such an issue for everybody as the year went on, I felt it was important that we included it this year. So I've gone backwards. So those of you who supplied me with data last year will be able to see that as a trend. The average price paid went up by 13%. So the drop in ticket income wasn't about, price. It really was about people spending less and coming less often. And that's a big hike considering that inflation at that point in 2022 was just over 8%. So big issue. We need to monitor this price thing and just check it's not having a negative impact. There's been lots of discussion as I've been talking to various of you about lack of product. So I'm kind of asking myself, are we really doing less? I mean, last time in 2022, we had put on sale 25% fewer tickets. And so we thought before that the number of events wasn't really terribly helpful, but actually I think it is, because we need to see what's happening in terms of that drop. What's causing that drop in seats put on sale. Could be just like smaller scale events, but is it the number of events? Are we literally doing less? So we'll look at that one. And are people still spending less? What can we do about that drop in ticket income? So we will be looking at annual spend per customer, and in 2022 it had dropped by 5%. But are people coming less often? Well, in 2022, it wasn't that, because the proportion of people coming to one event only had remained the same since pre-pandemic. But the people I was working with last year, it became apparent at various organizations that it was the most frequent attenders that were attending less. And actually, that's what Katie, in your missing audiences research, it's what you predicted, wasn't it? That it was going to be our most frequent audiences who were going to come back, if they came back at all, by attending less.
Yeah.
It is worth pointing out that if all of the people in 2022 had come to one more event each, we would collectively have taken another 10 million euros gross. So there are so many of them that it really makes a difference if we can get them to come back. Have we succeeded? Because I know a lot of you had that strategy. And then there was this issue of keeping people year on year. I mean, it was amazing that first-time ticket buyers went up by 6% in 2022, but is that really sustainable? We only kept 31% of the audience in 2019. So, you know, is this something that we can do something about? Well, again, thanks to Katie's research, she identified that actually one of the big issues was that we couldn't communicate with them. And all that work we did in 2022 did actually increase the proportion of audiences on average that organizations participating could email or mail. And it went up from 36% in 2019 to 42% in 2022. Have we sustained that? Because for me, that's the most important thing to change if we're going to get more people to come one more time and to keep audiences. Because we know in Ireland that if the more often people have come in a year, the more likely they are to come the following year. So that was me rattling through that, talking about the kind of behavior, quantitative behavior side. But let's look at some of those other quadrants and the things that probably as individual organizations we find most difficult to deal with. Katie, I shall stop sharing and let you share yours.
Thank you. Right, I will do this. Am I sharing? Is that working? Right, can you see that?
It's not on slideshow. It's on.
Do that again. Why is it doing that? Oh, I love technology.
I wouldn't mind if technology was consistent.
I know. Let's try that. Is that?
Yeah, perfect.
Brilliant. Okay, so what Heather and I are trying to do is, I'm sure that you're awash with things that you could be spending time doing and bits of data that you could be looking at. So the whole idea of this audience insight piece is to try and give you a really sensible framework to go, if you look at nothing else and you want to understand your audiences, these are the things you should be looking at. So that's what we're trying to do. And that's what these 4 quadrants are about. So you could look at any one of these and it would be interesting. Customer behavior on its own is really fascinating, as Heather has illustrated with the box office data. But our view is, if you want to get a really rounded picture of your audiences, and you need to look at it through 4 different lenses. So obviously the behavior, what they're actually doing, their profile, what are they like, how representative are they of your area that you're serving, but also then attitude, what do they think about you and what impact are you having on them? So it's really important to gather all this information and to know where you're going to get that from. So some data is easier to collect and analyze through box office data, but box office data has its limitations. So the other half of the coin, if you like, the other side of the coin is, we don't need all that again, is a survey, a post-show survey that is automatically sent out from your box office system after every show, or every show that you want to send it out after them. We've got a few organisations already set up and using this. So I just want to sort of talk you through what the benefits of doing this are. So we did a pilot study with 3 venues, which we've got some feedback from them after I've shown you what it is. And we managed to automate the sending of the survey through TicketSolve, so that once it was set up, it would just happen automatically, which was great. And we also managed to work with a touring company that was visiting those 3 venues, so that we could show the touring company for the first time data about their audiences and the experience that they'd had. So it sort of did the job for the individual venues, but it also gave the touring company some insight as well. So I'm quickly going to walk you through what those bits of insight are that you could get if you managed to do this survey. So we don't need all that again. Okay, so first of all, that profile piece. So if you wanted to compare your audience with the census data for your area, you could do that, because we would ask in the survey about their age and their gender. So you can see here, this is just an example of what your data would look like on the left for your organisation. And then obviously, as with Heather's work, we can then create an Ireland benchmark, which is everybody that's doing the survey, so that you can see how typical your audience is compared with other Irish venues. And then you can look at the census data to see how typical your audience is of the population. So we kind of do all the jobs. Same with ethnicity, same with families with children, households with children, and people who identify as deaf or disabled. I'm not dwelling on these. You can have these if you want. Just to say that the Irish benchmark I've got on here isn't actually an Irish benchmark yet, but it will be. This is just to sort of show you what it would look like. So things like income and salary. Then we get onto their behaviour. So what proportion of your audiences are first-time attenders? And really interestingly, of course, you can look at your box office data and say, well, how many of these people look like new bookers who haven't got a record on the system before? And yes, we should absolutely be looking at that. But we've just completed a piece of work called Tomorrow's Audience, where we emailed those people and asked them if it really was the first time that they'd been. And 6 out of 10 of them, it wasn't. They'd actually been to the organisation before. So it's also important to ask this question in a survey, because then you get a more realistic view of who's really first-time attenders. What prompted them to come, like what motivated them to attend, but also how did they find out about the event? So one is the sort of the intrinsic motivation. They come because they love that particular show. The other is what was the communications method that kind of prompted them to book, or how did they find out that it was happening? And again, all of these are available for your organisation compared with the benchmark for everyone. And of course, Heather and I can look at that benchmark data and say, oh, what are the trends here? What's changed since the last time we did this? And start to see some patterns. So booking patterns, again, you can get this out of your box office system, but good to get a check on it here as well. Why they didn't book further in advance, always good to know. How they travelled. So again, linking up with Heather's census data, it would be interesting to see how they travelled there and how far they travelled. And you can match that up with what you're seeing in the population data. Their review of the show. So this is out of 5. So this organisation is doing very well, 4.6 out of 5. And again, you can compare that. Some people really like to be able to compare their star rating with everybody else, especially if it's higher. Good one. The quality of the visit. So, you know, how was the visit? So some of the practical things, value for money, the staff, you know, this organisation is getting 4.8 out of 5 for the quality of their staff, which is fabulous. So again, these are really good motivational things to be able to feed back to the team, as well as being really important things to know about how your audience are feeling about you. Net Promoter Score is a sort of standard measure I'm sure a lot of you have come across before. It goes from -100 to +100. So a Net Promoter Score of +81 is massive, because it's not like 81 out of 100. It's like, you know, right over there. So that's very good, and that's how likely they would be to recommend you. And then some of the impact scores. So things like some of these statements here about feeling welcome, included, again, they're out of 5. But these can be really useful in some of your sort of advocacy messages, or saying to stakeholders or funders, you know, 4.7 out of 5 on how important we are to our local community when they decide they want to start cutting you or something. So things like that can be really useful, but also things like clear commitment to environmental responsibility is quite low for this organisation. So they might want to think about how they're probably doing lots, but maybe people aren't just getting that message. So that gives you some clues for your communications, as well as, again, being really good insight into the audience. And then there's always space for free text comments, which you have direct access to as well. So you can get some lovely quotes that you could use on other marketing materials, or again, just a feedback to the board or other staff. So, you know, so there's lots and lots in there. So just to sort of recap on that, basically, if you do these surveys, the idea is that this isn't a one-off survey. This is something that you set up and is sent all year round after either every show or every show you want to send it for. You can see your results in real time immediately. So you have always got access to your results for your audiences. The idea is that we'd like you, if you'd like to do it, to get the survey set up as soon as possible. It's just a set it up once and then it happens if you're on TicketSolve or Spectrix. If we get enough of you starting it now, we will be able to show some results at the gathering in May, which is what we'd really like to be able to do. But the idea then is that on an annual basis, we will create a benchmark for the year and produce a report every January for the previous year, so that you can then look at your results and compare them with the benchmark. Again, similar to Heather's box office data, only you will see your organisation's data. We will see that in terms of delivering it, but in terms of publishing anything, it will only be aggregated into a benchmark report. We wouldn't ever, you know, show your results on their own. So only you would see that. So I'm going to stop sharing there, because I think we have some organisations who have taken part in the pilot.
Yeah, so the pilot we ran before Christmas, and we worked on the Superbogger tour, and we worked with Drogheda Arts Centre, the Town Hall in Cavan, and Backstage Theatre in Longford. And Colette is here today. Colette, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with using the survey as part of the pilot?
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Colette Farrell, and I'm the director of the Drogheda Arts Centre in Drogheda. And firstly, and I think I said that at our recent meeting when I met with Heather and Irma, it's highly addictive. Just to warn you in advance, if you like your data, yeah, it's just really, really addictive. I find I have to stop myself now going in to look at the results. I do recommend, though, that it is good to go in at least on a monthly basis. I suppose for us, we participated for 3 months last year with Living Dread and the Superbogger tour with the other venues, and then it's continued on from January. So we're going to be with it for the whole year. It has 25 questions that's asked to your audience, and it happens post-show after every event. And TicketSolve are hugely supportive and have been hugely supportive to us in the setup of the survey. And I suppose for Dread, the survey is very much given us data on the impact of our organisation, on our community, on our audiences. You get a real sense of why they come to the organisation and what they like. And obviously this can be very beneficial for your board, your funders, your sponsors, and also community. And also, I suppose, looking ahead, you know, it's still early days for us, but we would hope that the data would be able to help us, I suppose, strategically plan our programme and also our community and outreach. We've always known, I suppose, what's worked in Drogheda, but now it's more than anecdotal. It's very much backed up by stats from the demographics to the marketing information and to the travel. The questions that you can see include questions around motivation for attendance. How did you hear about the event? How far out did you book? But also as well, well, how does this, you know, why do you come to the organisation? How does it make you feel? What are the staff like? And also how we can improve the experience as well. And then, as Heather was saying as well, you kind of at the end get your Net Promoter Score, which kind of measures customer loyalty by looking at their likelihood of them recommending your arts centre down the road. And then the interesting thing as well, looking at kind of travel and your mode of travel and how long it takes you actually to get to the venue. So there was a lot of what we would have expected, as I say, anecdotally, like 70%, like a lot of us bookers are all female. They're mainly Irish and white. 83% have are return bookers in a way as well. 40%, the interesting one as well for us was that how far out are people booking, and 40% now are only booking, say, between 1 and 4 weeks before the event. And for us in Drogheda as well, 67% travel by cars, but it's under 15 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? The centre is right in the heart of town. Marketing as well is was very interesting for us, in the sense that we would have found that, I suppose, the blended approach that we had to marketing, from social media to the printed brochure to e-zine, seems to be working kind of for our audiences. I would say, though, maybe based on kind of pre-COVID, that there's only about maybe 14% at the moment that are going to the brochure. Everybody else is maybe going to kind of e-zines and also social media. And also that sense of community as well, that, you know, we found out that 55% of the people who've responded to the survey, that it's very much about coming together and sharing the experience in the Arts Centre. So that whole sense of the experience from the moment they come in the door to having a drink at the bar, that whole journey that they go on, you know what I mean, through the event and post-event and during the interval, seems to be very, very important to them. And then 50% are over 50 years of age, and, you know, so 50% are under 50, but in terms of, I suppose, you know, 0 to 20, there'd be a lower percentage there. And if we look at other reports in Drogheda, especially the Gearan report, where, you know, I think we have 24% are aged 0 to 14 and 32% are aged between 25 to 44. We know we've a lot of work maybe to do there in terms of getting people under 50 into the Arts Centre. And, you know, so we need to look at programme and what attracts them. But we also are planning to look at, you know, we do a lot of community and outreach, but we're not necessarily capturing that data. So now we're going to find a way with the post-audience survey that it actually goes out, like how can people book into community and outreach? How can we capture that data and they get as well to experience the survey as well. So there's some data we realise that we're not actually capturing as well. So look, it tells you what you already know and it reassures you, but it also tells you what you don't know, and also as well, I suppose, what your audience wants you to know, like the little things that are important to them, you know. So it's not just about the marketing, it's the things that matter to them. So for us, like, we found out, there's probably a lot of other art centres, we don't have enough ladies' toilets, right? But there's very little I can do at this moment in time. But I found out, say, that car parking is an issue, where they park. And so we now, I've been made aware that we need to maybe put on our websites and put on our tickets, this is where you go to park, you know, don't go to this other car park because it closes like at 9 p.m. at night and stuff like that. They told us as well that they want us to provide more in our bar. they think our bar stock is too small, really, in a way, and that was purposely done. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a small theatre bar, but they're kind of saying, no, we kind of, you know, want a different type of wine, or maybe we want some snacks as well. So as I say, look, it's early days, but that whole insight about those little things that are important to audiences is you know, really good to know around the age and the demographics then, and how we capture audiences and participants around our community and outreach. So yeah, it's been very as I say, it is addictive, but but it will definitely help us and influence our strategic planning going forward as well. Hope that's okay.
Fantastic.
That was amazing, Colette.
Oh.
Thank you so much. I think everyone's going to want to know how to do it now, right? Because that was such an amazing ad. And we're really lucky to have Dean from Ticketsolve here today. Dean, could you chat us through some of the technicals on your side?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Irma. Hi, everybody. My name is Dean. I would be a support and training specialist on the Ticketsolve team. I might have spoken to a few users here of Ticketsolve in one way or another, either talking through anything we can help you with your organization. So just want to talk a small bit, kind of peek behind the curtain of how you can set up these lovely Indigo links to go out automatically, which is obviously what we want. We don't want to be lifting a finger, having to think to do it manually the entire time. So I might just share my screen. It'll be very brief anyways, but obviously, as Colette says as well, and thanks very much, Colette, it was as much an ad for Ticketsolve as it was for Indigo as well. But just to say that our support team is here as well to support you on setting these up, if it's kind of starting from square one, or just to help you around wording or any edits you might need to work for your post-event customer alerts, which is kind of what we're looking at when we're wanting these things to be sent out automatically. So I might just share my screen very, very quickly. Bear with me now. Lovely stuff. Hopefully everybody can see that. But just to kind of give you an idea of what the link looks like or what it can look like, this is kind of what the Indigo link will look like raw in order to send to your organization. Obviously, you have all of these merge fields that will auto-populate depending on what you put on or put into Ticketsolve itself. Just obviously the show name, the day, the event date and time, just to remind your customers kind of what that they went to see, and that what information you need to pull across. And what's great about this is that all you need to do is to pop this into your post-event customer alert email, which is kind of the automatic process of this. I'll just open up a test account here very quickly just to show you what I mean. Now, here we go. Just a little test account that I have here just for the purposes of today. If we go into our email templates here, hopefully most people will have these set up already. However, we can assist you in setting these up as well if you don't have these in place. What we're looking for is the post-event customer alert email. And this is an email that we can set to trigger automatically to customers after a certain time once an event has elapsed. And that setting is set in minutes. So you can obviously set it to go 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes even after the start of the event. Most people have it to, I believe it's 1,440 minutes, which is a number that haunts me. That's the number of minutes it's in 24 hours. So if you want to get your customers to get this automatic email 24 hours after the event has elapsed, we can set that up, but it's very, very customizable. And it's essentially just this email here that's text-based. You can see here for this test account, it's very, very simple. But what we use this for anyways, we can style this up. It's obviously for anybody who uses HTML. However, most ticket solvers, for want of a better word, would use MailChimp. They would style up the post-event customer alert with whatever they want it to look like, and then just simply export that as HTML and pop it into the email. However, if anybody needs any support with HTML, that's obviously what we are here for. So please get in touch with us if you don't have this set up. However, if you do have this set up, it's a simple case of either popping it as a raw link or a hyperlink into the email, or popping it as a button through MailChimp, or however you want to set up your HTML email. It's incredibly customizable, and then it's just there and it will set to trigger after whatever setting you popped in, time setting, after the event has elapsed. And what's great about this as well, we can set it at different levels as well. Say you only want to collect data or these surveys, data from these surveys for certain shows or for certain events. We can obviously set these to go through an event snippet, is what it's called in Ticketsolve. However, what that means is that we pop the link into the event snippet at show level or event level. And that just means that only for certain shows or certain events, this will come through to customers after they've gone to see the show. And just to kind of talk through the different kind of levels, because it mightn't be apparent to everybody here in this call, but you have what's called show level on Ticketsolve, and you also have what's called event level. Show level would obviously be for the kind of overall umbrella of events. Say you have Jack and the Beanstalk as your panto this Christmas. Sorry to say the C word so early in the year. But if we have Jack and the Beanstalk and we have this event snippet set up at show level, it means that it will go to every single customer who's seen any date of Jack and the Beanstalk. Whether, say, the 17th of December was a relaxed performance or there was something weird or wonderful about the performance that you specifically want to collect data on as well, you can obviously set that at event level, meaning for only that performance on the 17th of December, they will be sent out this survey link for them to fill out and give you the information that your organization needs. Sorry, now just maneuvering screens here. But just to kind of shout out as well, folks, our help center, which is a fantastic, or I like to think it is a fantastic resource for most people who are users of Ticketsolve. We've really helped with creating loads of articles and help centers and resources and things that will walk you through step by step what I'm talking about, give you visuals, videos along the way. And this is one that we worked closely with Indigo on, just to walk through what it is, what you can achieve, what the links will look like, small video on how to style up this post-event customer alert email, and to pop it into show level, event level, or just across your account, meaning that you will be collecting information across all of the shows and events that you have on through your organization, talking about the snippets and everything. So obviously, don't want to bombard anyone with information, just to point out to the help center there as well, that these resources are here for people to use. And that is kind of it. But obviously, just to reiterate again, our support team is there. We have regular offices, our regular office hours are 9 till 6 every single day, Monday to Friday. And then we have our support team that does our out of call as well. Obviously, we haven't had anybody call at 1 a.m. on a Sunday night before yet, and hopefully that will remain the same. But we're very much here to help anyways. If anybody needs help starting their post-event customer alerts from scratch and then implementing the Indigo survey links after that, we're here to help you. But as far as if you have all of that set up, it's a simple case of popping the link into the email itself and where you want it to appear, how you want it to appear, and when it will reach your customers to get the data your organization needs. But we're all here anyways to help support on the Ticketsolve team if you need any help in setting this up initially. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Dean. There was a couple of questions that popped up in the chat, which we maybe, Katie, should we run through those quickly, do you think?
Sure, yeah. So does the survey go to every booker every time they book? Well, I think Dean sort of answered some of that in that you've got some variability in the settings in Ticketsolve as to whether you send it to everyone for every show or whether it's just for certain shows. So if you wanted to, you could just set it up for a selection of shows or a selection of events that are happening. But what we would encourage you to do is pick ones that you think are representative of your program across the year. So not like all the comedy shows or all the dramas, actually make sure you've got a good variety. We're trying to find a way of being able to set it so that if somebody's already received a survey in the last 6 months, say, they don't receive it again. At the moment, we haven't figured out how to do that, but we're working on it. But we can provide you with some copy for the email that goes out with it to say, if you've already filled in a survey like this in the last few months, please don't feel the need to do so again. Not ideal, and we will get it better as we go along. But we tend to find that people are fine with that. So that's that one. What were the other ones? Is there a version of the survey that's applicable to a festival rather than an individual event? I mean, the whole idea is that it's thinking about a particular performance or a particular thing that they've seen, and the questions are designed around having seen something recently. But we did design the questions so that when Heather and I looked at them to try and make sure that they were as applicable to festival events as possible. I don't think it would work for like a whole festival. If you wanted to use it to evaluate like all the events at the whole festival, it would be much better to send it kind of after they've seen a particular thing, if that makes sense. But yeah, should work for festivals.
I've been playing around with post-show surveys with the festival, and actually it turned out that the team wanted to know where the problems were and where the really, really amazing experiences were. So what they wanted to do was have individual events responses so that they could actually see what was working and what wasn't working. So maybe, Jen, it's worth having a chat with either me or Katie about what it is you want to know, and seeing how, you know, what you need and what you get if you did participate, how that matches together.
Probably possible, but yeah, if we know a bit more about what it is. Will there be access to this information on setup after this session? Well, yes. I mean, Ticketsolve have created lots of resources and guides and tools and stuff, which Dean talked about, which are available, and we can make sure that you all get the links for those. And obviously, today's session is being recorded. And if you'd rather just have someone from Ticketsolve sit there and go through it with you, Dean has made that offer. So I'm sure they'd be really happy to get you set up on that. Any other questions that I've missed? Oh, hang on. Where do the answers go? Into the great big ether that is the internet. So what happens is you send out the emails to your customers, that the link in the email is a link to a survey. They fill in the survey. Those survey responses get stored in our survey software, but then you get a link to view your responses, and we can access all the responses to pull them together into a benchmark for everybody. So we can see them and you can see them via a link, but we're storing them in our software. Does that make sense? So we don't see any of your individual personal customer data because you send the emails out and we're not collecting any personal data back again. So there's no GDPR issues at all. How often are you able to get the results? They're in real time. You can click on that link whenever you want and look at your responses. So all the time, you can knock yourselves out. The benchmark results will be done once a year. So we'll aggregate all the results once a year for the whole of the calendar year and put those in a report in January. But what we're going to try and do this year, if we can get enough data in before the gathering, is to do a little snapshot of what we found for the, you know, from here until then, so that you get a sense of what it's going to look like. If that makes sense. Anything else?
Somebody asked me earlier how long it would take, and I just timed myself doing the audience insights from the box office data, and on Ticketsolve it took me 9 minutes, and somebody else has just done it and said it took them nearer sort of 12, 13 minutes, but it's quite easy. What about the survey? How long would that take to set up?
Oh, to set it up? Well, it depends. If you've got somebody from Ticketsolve there online with you, it'll probably take you half an hour. You should have the link from us already. If you haven't, then Ellie, who's on the call here, give us a wave, Ellie. We'll be able to make sure you've got that link. That's all you need from us. And then you just need to work with Ticketsolve to get it set up. But it should take, it depends if you've got that a post-show alert thing already set up. So you might need to do that first and then do this. But my estimation would be about half an hour and then it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. It would just be a case of, and again, the email by default is meant to be very, very simple anyways. You don't want to bombard any of your customers with loads of wording and writing after they've gone to see a show. So it's just a simple case of adding the link as either as a button, as a raw link, a hyperlink, inviting people to fill it out, and just making sure that you're happy with when they are set to trigger, whether that be 24 hours after the show time or the performance time. But obviously, as Katie says, we'll work really closely with you guys. If you don't have those set up, we'll obviously help you from square one. And just to reiterate again, we have oodles and oodles of resources and articles as well on how to build post-event customer alerts, how to even build upcoming event alerts as well, which are obviously a capability within Ticketsolve as well. So there's all that there anyways to work through yourself and work with us. But obviously as well, our support team is very, very happy to sit down with all of you and work through whatever stage you are at the system to get the survey links out to your customers and get them up and running as soon as we can. But yeah, 30 minutes is a very fair estimation depending on how much we need to get done.
Brilliant. Thank you. Then Anne's asking, do people respond to surveys they receive by email? Well, we've had over 700 organisations in the UK using our Indigo Share surveys. Then they do respond by email. Now, of course, not all of them do, but enough of them do. And especially if you're doing it over time, rather than relying on one survey today, if you're drip feeding it and sending it out all the time, over a year, you will get more than enough responses to be representative of your audience. You don't need responses from everyone. You just need responses from a representative sample across the year and across the shows. So I'm really confident. If we find for any reason that that responses are dropping off, what we're doing in England is we've just introduced an Indigo Share here. We will be from April, a prize draw thing, so that we're encouraging people to try and incentivize people. But let's try it and see if we need to do that, we will. But I think our experience so far would show that we should get enough over the course of a year. And then the second one about, is this only available for ticketed events, or are you working with non-ticketed events at all? So obviously the TicketSolve setup is just for ticketed events, because that's how you've got the data and send it out to them. If any of you have got non-ticketed events, we can supply you with a link that you could put on an iPad, say. And if you wanted to, for non-ticketed events, you could train up volunteers, we could help you with that, and you could go and ask people the questions in the survey for non-ticketed events at the event or front of house, if you've got the staff to do that, if you've got iPads that you could use. So we can give you a link. It would still go into the same data pot. You would still get to view your results in exactly the same way. And if you have a combination of ticketed and non-ticketed, we can provide you with two links, one for the iPad setup if you want to do face-to-face, and one to be emailed out. So it's up to you. Or the other way that some people do it is they gather email addresses as they walk around saying, would you be willing to do a survey? Give us your email address, and then you send the survey out in the sort of way that the ticketed ones are done. So there's various ways of doing it. So do talk to us if that's what you want to do. Anything I've missed?
I think that's everything, really. Obviously, we're available to take any questions afterwards. We'll share the recording. We'll also link through to the resources that we spoke about, and we'll have all that on our site this afternoon. And yeah, we're all here to help. I mean, like you were saying, Katie, the more people we can get, the more organizations we can get involved, the better the data is going to be in terms of, obviously, on an individual organization basis, but also on a comparative basis as well. So hopefully, yeah.
Sorry, folks. Sorry, Irma. Just to point out one thing, just because I got a DM in the chat there. The best thing to do in order to get this set up is to get in touch with the support team and not just myself, just because varying people will be away at all times, just to make sure we get answers to your questions and requests as soon as possible. So if you send an email to talktickets@ticketsolve.com, or obviously anybody who has TicketSolve access, you just hit the little question mark at the very bottom of the screen, and it'll send a ticket to us outlining your request. And obviously you can give us a call to the regular channels as well, and we can set up a ticket to be going back and forth. But yeah, talktickets@ticketsolve.com, or get in touch with the support desk as well. Yeah, somebody, myself or somebody else on the team, would be more than happy to get you set up, just to not give anybody an individual email when someone might be away or away from their desk or on a site visit, which often happens with our team. Yeah, you can get in touch with us through those channels.
There is just a question there, Katie, about people on other ticketing systems.
Yeah, so depending on which system you have, if you have Spectrix, there is also a similar integration with Spectrix that we can send you the results for, or Tessitura. So if you're on any other system, let us know, because we've managed to get it set up with those three. So if you're on any other one, then talk to us and we'll see if we can fix it.
You can treat it as an unticketed, as an unticketed event as well. So you could just send out the link to a certain number of shows over a year, and not integrate it with the system. You're just giving a link to the survey. So talk to Ellie or Katie about that. So it's great when it's integrated, because you don't have to think about it.
But you don't have to do it that way. Yeah, you can be old school, because previously people were just doing the post-show emails after the shows they wanted to survey. So if you want to do it and you've got time to do it that way, great, we can do that too, or instead. But obviously where that integration happens and you can get it set up, it's just one less thing to think about. So cool. Yes, we can let you have the survey questions as well with the recording. Yeah, in fact, we might be able to send you, we'll see if we can send you a link to a test survey so you can actually have a go at it. That might be the best thing to do. Ellie, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we send you a link rather than a set of the questions. We'll send you a link to have a go, have a play with the survey.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, listen, we're conscious of time because we want to get you out within the hour. So thank you so much for making time to come along, and hopefully we'll get lots more of you set up on the system. And we really appreciate you giving the time, and we'll follow on with more information that will be up on the site. And if anyone has any questions, you can just get in touch with us.
Great.
Great. Thanks a million, everybody.
Thanks, Colette.